Godzilla X Kong is nothing but trashy popcorn entertainment that's designed to entertain people who don't care about story or plot. Does that sound like I'm describing you? Alright, so we have another Godzilla movie, and if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that I have not been super thrilled with what I've been getting from the Godzilla monsterverse lately. But here we are, we have a sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong, and this is directed by the same director, Adam Wingard, and it stars much of the same cast, but we don't have Millie Bobby Brown here. This movie stars Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Dan Stevens, and Kaylee Hottle. And like I said, this movie is a sequel. It picks up after Godzilla vs. Kong, and possibly after Monarch Legacy of Monsters. That part I am really not sure about. In fact, I have some gripes with the fact that I think that some of the things that were established in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which was on Apple TV Plus, don't seem like they applied into this movie. So this time, the two monsters have put aside their gripes and they have teamed up to face a threat that is even worse than each other. Something that is terrible, something that is bad enough that made Godzilla decide to put aside his toxic masculinity and join forces with a stupid big ape. Oh, what a team. What a team. So I will be honest, when I saw the commercials for this movie, I was not extremely thrilled. I saw some very campy stuff right from the commercial. I saw a pink Godzilla, which I guess I've come to terms with, but I saw a cheesy, awful scene of Godzilla and Kong running into battle together. It felt like I was watching like a scene from the Avengers or just any other team-up movie. It was unnecessary, it was campy, and so I came into this movie with some opinions already established. And I have to say, this movie didn't change my mind. Nothing really clicked for me. The humor in this movie was so cheesy, so campy. Everything just came off as really, really forced. It felt like they were trying to make me laugh. And I was just sitting here thinking, no, I'm not going to laugh because you tell me to laugh. You need to make your stuff funny. Brian Tyree Henry, he serves as our comic relief in this movie, and he does the best he can. But I feel like this man was given some really bad dialogue. Because I'm quite positive this man is funny. And I know he can do good acting because I saw him in that movie with Jennifer Lawrence. It's slipping my mind, but he did a great job in that movie. And I know he's funny. In this movie, he was not funny. He kept trying to be funny. They tried to make me laugh with him, but I just wasn't really getting into it. A word I'm not a big fan of is cringe, but I cringed. Dan Stevens is another actor in this movie that I feel like was wasted. Absolutely just wasted. If you haven't seen the show on FX called Legion, you are missing out. That was a very interesting, very trippy and unusual take on the superhero genre. And it takes place in the X-Men universe, but it's not connected to Fox. And in that show, he plays this really super powerful mutant. I believe he's like the son of Professor Xavier. But either way, he was really good in that show. So I was expecting something better from him in this movie, but he was just going ham with the campiness. Everybody in this movie was just so campy. Now, there were a few things that I really did like about this movie. There's a really cute little ape in the movie that teams up with Kong. At first, he's not really nice to Kong, but eventually him and Kong become little buddies. And this little ape is so cute. Just the cutest little... Kaylee Hottle plays the little girl who's deaf, and she was in Godzilla vs. Kong, and she returns in this movie. She is, for all intents and purposes, the heart of this movie. It is her story between her and Rebecca Hall that really carries this movie. She also continues to have her dynamic with Kong that she had in the previous movie. She understands him. She gets this big broody ape. And she gets a little bit more backstory filled out in this movie. And so she is a standout. For a young actress, she did a very good job. Easily one of the better parts of this unfortunately campy, ridiculous movie. Now, I just mentioned Rebecca Hall, and I have to say, I'm a fan of this lady. She's a great actress. I've seen her in quite a few things, and I think she is quite talented. She does a very good job acting. I just feel like, again, she was wasted in this movie. This movie feels like the equivalent of a kid playing with his toys and just taking Godzilla and taking Kong and playing with them together and then recording it. That's what this movie feels like to me. It just feels like a child's dream. And that might be something that a lot of people like. A lot of you guys might like that this movie is so nonstop action, that it has such crazy spectacle. I mean, there is a lot of action in this movie. So if you're into that blockbuster spectacle, you're probably going to enjoy this movie. However, if you want a good story, you might find yourself feeling a little bit disappointed. And, you know, Godzilla is a giant amphibious monster, so we can't expect total reality. But I know that Toho just did a very good job of Godzilla -1, so I do know it is possible to tell a mature, interesting story featuring this giant monster. I just feel like the American audience doesn't seem to want it, or Legendary doesn't want to give it to us. I feel like Godzilla got a slight makeover in this movie as well. Besides the pink, he has more movement to his legs. That's probably because they wanted to have him jumping around and leaping around like a superhero acrobatic. I felt like that was breaking some continuity as well. How come this guy looks so different? Was he doing yoga in between the two movies? I don't think he was. It looked like he was mostly sleeping. How did he get in shape like this? My final thoughts, this movie really didn't resonate that well with me. And I've always been a fan of Godzilla. My dad got me into it when I was a kid. I used to watch the movies with him, the cheesy old ones, you know. And when they did the Godzilla in 2014, I think, with Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson, it was a darker, more gritty version. And it seemed like Godzilla was going to be rebooted and it was going to be for the better. But then Godzilla King of the Monsters came out and they decided, let's throw all these nice dark qualities out and just go hard into this ridiculous action. I guess you could say it was overcorrecting because people thought that the other Godzilla had not enough Godzilla. He was, you know, admittedly not in the movie a ton. They kept hiding him. They kept showing little bits of him. So I guess maybe Legendary felt like they owed everybody an apology. And boy, they have given us more Godzilla than we could possibly need. This movie is so cheesy, so corny. It has a lot of really cool action and some very okay special effects. But in terms of like an actual movie, this is just not that great. It is not irredeemable. I found myself entertained. I would not say I felt like I wasted my time. It was worth watching. But for me, this movie is a 4 out of 10. It's something I don't plan to ever watch again. It's certainly not going into my collection. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in the Legendary Monsterverse at all anymore because I just am not interested in what they're trying to sell me. But those are my opinions. What did you think? Did you see this movie? Did you like this movie? Do you agree with my review, or do you think I'm way off base and out of touch like some stuck-up critic? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you liked this video, please hit the like button so I can know that you liked it. And if you want to see more things from me, please subscribe to my channel. And that's all I have to say. Later.